Has anyone ever done like kind of timeline analysis before? Yeah, you have? Timeline analysis is something that I'm a big advocate for because I think that it is really, really helpful, especially in intrusion investigations, to perform timeline analysis. And the real benefit is that it puts events in kind of a correlated form. So remember when we looked at the logs and we kind of saw like, they were sequential events, like this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, right? This was visited, this was visited. Timelines basically do that with disk contents, right? They take this, we have this disk image with dates kind of all over the map, and it takes all of those date values and just kind of lays them out and puts them together, right? Kind of fits them in so that everything is kind of laid out in a, this happened, this happened, this happened approach. And that can be really, really beneficial from an intrusion investigation perspective because you're trying to put the pieces together, right? What happened and when did it happen, right? So timelining will allow us to do this. So really kind of one of the things is it can help narrow your search, right? You can kind of label it to like, you find systab.exe. Well, what was created around that time? What was modified? So on and so forth. It can help you to kind of narrow that search down to those date ranges or those times. But it can also help you expand your search because you'll find additional files that were accessed or registry keys that were modified and so on and so forth. You can use this to kind of correlate your previous findings, right? Kind of use it you can use keyword searches within your timeline to kind of focus it and then kind of expand it out based on what you had previously found. It's beneficial because it organizes the events in kind of your sequential kind of breakdown. This happened, then this happened, then this happened, so on and so forth. So it makes it more easy to kind of correlate kind of the events of an incident, and when they occurred. But one of the things I do want to point out here, I have at the bottom, is kind of the be mindful of time alteration tools. So there are a number of them out there. Touch is kind of the Linux variant, but there is a Windows port of that, as well as timestamp, which will basically modify time attributes. They will. So there's two different types of date attributes. I want to kind of bring this out, right? And somebody's going to have to make sure that I don't screw this up. But there's file name attributes and standard information attributes. And Windows reports file name attributes? Yeah, that's right? So standard information attributes are the ones that aren't referenced, right? Okay, so this is important because when you're actually using your forensic applications, they're actually using the file name attributes as well. So typically the time modification programs, and there are some exceptions to this rule, but they will only modify the file information attribute entry in the MFT, which means that the standard information attribute contains the original date values, right? And this can be really helpful for you to identify kind of that a time modification had occurred, right? Based on the fact that, hey, I have the standard information attribute that said it was made on April 12th, 2012, but my NCASE is reporting that it was made in September 21st, 2007. That doesn't make any sense. And that discrepancy is something you can use to kind of identify that something sounds weird here, right? Something looks a little funky.